If you're subscribed to my channel, you've probably noticed over the last couple days that I've been doing the new dev diaries for the new update for Hearts of Iron 4 called the Husky update. If you're not subscribed, why not? It's literally free. But in those videos, I've been getting a ton of comments from the people that are subscribed to the channel and some new people, and they're all asking the same thing, or at least the majority of them are. Why is there so much DLC for Hearts of Iron 4 in the other Paradox games? Why don't they just release a new game if they're going to go to this much effort to put the DLC out there? Now, before we get too much further and answer that question, if you like Hearts of Iron 4 content, seriously, do not forget to subscribe, because it seems as though all the other major YouTubers like Sorrows, Drew Drenell, and even maybe Alex the Rambler, along with a few others, are backing away from Hearts of Iron 4. Compared to me, I still have 5,500 hours on this game, and I am not going anywhere. I still love this game. I love Paradox games, so it might be a little bit of a biased approach to it, but I also love Call of Duty games that I will be covering a little bit later on in the video as a reasoning. So soon I may be the last decent Hearts of Iron 4 channel on YouTube, so please do not forget to subscribe if you want to keep checking out Hearts of Iron 4 content. But you guys did not come here to hear me beg you to subscribe, but you want to know why Hearts of Iron 4 and all the other Paradox games have so much DLC behind them. For example, if you want to buy Hearts of Iron 4 and all the DLC for the game currently at the time of making this video, September 2019, it would be $136.61. For CK2, if you want to buy the game plus all the DLC, it's $341.71 USD. That is for all of these. And then for EU4, it would be a whopping $401.70. Now, this is not just the game and basic things like mechanic updates and stuff like that. This is for the games and things like reskin packs, the game mechanics, sound packs, little tiny things. I mean, that is literally all the DLC available to the game you could possibly purchase at the time of, again, making this video. Now, at first glance, to a lot of people, it seems as though Paradox games are insanely expensive to be massive cash grabs and do something similar to Call of Duty, where they just come out with as much content as they can to make as much money as they can. Now, that is not the reasoning behind it. That is the complete opposite idea of why they're doing it so much. It is not a cash grab. In fact, it is still really cheaper, and really, honestly, in my opinion, it is a lot cheaper than buying a Call of Duty game plus all of its DLC every single year, or even a Battlefield game and then doing the same kind of process over and over again. Now, there's two reasons behind why these game companies have so much DLC, and honestly, it's a model a lot of companies should follow, like Activision and EA, for example, if they really do care about their fans. First off, it supports the game for an incredibly long time. This way, people don't every year have to buy a new or different version of the game that they already liked and want to keep playing, and will allow people to stay on the game that they like and have all their friends on that they all like and know how to do everything. Probably the most expensive Paradox game to buy, and I'm going to use this as an example for a lot of this, is EU4 at about $400. Now, EU4 came out in 2013. That was 6 years ago, okay? If they released a new EU-style game like EU5, EU6, EU7, and so on every single year like Call of Duty does, it would cost around $240 over 6 years. Now, that is a lot cheaper than the $400 that you would have to spend to buy all the DLC. Yes, however, there is a really good benefit to the fans and the people that enjoy these games by making DLC for it rather than releasing a new game every year, and I'm going to use Call of Duty as an example for this. Now, World at War to this day has by far been definitely my favorite Call of Duty, and probably the last Call of Duty that I really liked aside from Modern Warfare 2, and maybe let's go ahead and say Black Ops 1. And probably a lot of the people watching this right now, it's probably your guys' favorite Call of Duty as well. I know at least the majority of people that I talk to that play Hearts of Iron 4, whenever we talk about Call of Duty World at War, we'll even hop on there and play a couple matches. But the point I'm getting to here is that Call of Duty released back in 2008. Right now, that is 11 years ago. Currently, it has the 4th largest player base, at least on the PC side, along with all the other Call of Duty games. It has the 4th largest. An 11-year-old Call of Duty has the 4th largest player base between all of the Call of Duty games, even the most current ones. If you look at the 30-day averages that I'm using right now from Steam and all that kind of stuff, it shows that Black Ops 3 has the #1 highest Call of Duty player amount with an average of 1,382 people a day. Then Call of Duty World War II with 901 people playing it on average every day. Modern Warfare 2 at 748. And then for 4th, we have Call of Duty World at War with 624 daily players. Now think, an 11-year-old Call of Duty still, by only 300 people, almost has as many players as the most recent Call of Duty game to come out. That's pretty substantial in the argument I'm about to make for this. See, what those do is those numbers show that even though the game has been out for several years, it has a following, that people still enjoy it. Whether it's a sentimental reason that they just remember that this is the game that they used to play with people on all the time, it was their first Call of Duty, really something along those lines. It could also be because they just simply do not like loot boxes, or they don't like the idea of playing a game that is so different from what they already enjoyed. I know if it was my choice, if I had to choose between, Call of Duty World War II or Call of Duty World at War, in my opinion, Call of Duty World at War would win. If I had to choose between Infinite Warfare and World at War, obviously World at War would win, and I'm sure a lot of you guys could agree with that. But back to Paradox. We're going to look at Imperator Rome, for example, right? When it came out, people didn't like it and wanted to go back to playing the games that they actually do like, and because they're getting DLC, they're getting updates, and they're still supported after launch, it allows the people a choice between getting stuck in a game that all their friends are moving to, and some people like it, some people don't, or they can go back to this game that they actually do like. Again, with Paradox. Because people didn't like Imperator Rome, they can go back to the other Paradox games that they do like. EU4, for example. Hearts of Iron 4, for example. That model allows you to have an option, whether you want to choose to keep enjoying your favorite game already, or do you want to swap over and play this new game. Compared to, again, the Call of Duty model is basically, once the game has a few updates, they want to push you to buying the new game because that's an extra $60 for the company along with more DLC. So instead of actually simply paying $60 for the game, then buying 4 map packs, it will say $20 a piece, then they also get you to buy loot boxes. That's basically the idea behind it. The Call of Duty model is to make you want to buy the new game because they don't want to support the old games anymore. The Paradox model is to give you an option between, would you like to play your old game that you enjoyed, or do you want to move on to the new one and still play the old one a little bit and support both? Now, for the second reason, it's really a way for Paradox to be able to afford to keep these games going after launch. Compared to Call of Duty and EA, Activision, all that kind of stuff, Paradox is a very, very small gaming company. Servers for games like EU4, Hearts of Iron 4, CK2, Stellaris, all that stuff, it's going to cost money, whether it's simply to keep the server running, or if they're trying to upload patches, to stop exploits, and I'm kind of guilty on that part, sorry. But it's also there to keep enough cash flowing to the company through the DLC sales from other games, so if they do have a bad launch, if they do have a game that people don't like, it will also allow the company to still stay afloat. I mean, for example, can you imagine if there was no DLC for Hearts of Iron 4, other than like the first 3 updates or something like that? The game would be pretty much dead by now, probably. It would have a very tiny following. But, again, Call of Duty is a good example of this. Whenever people do not like a version of the game, the company has major issues with finances. Now, if the company does have huge issues with finances, they're not going to probably make that series anymore. Compared to going the DLC route, they have options. With Imperator Rome, again, people didn't like it, so they went back to EU4 and Hearts of Iron 4. And now Paradox is able to continue making more DLC and updates on EU4, Hearts of Iron 4, and so on, and maybe come out with new games that they know their communities will enjoy. So it's really giving you an option while allowing them to continue operating in case they have a bad launch. Something else that people leave out of this really often when they talk about the reason Paradox is making you buy the DLC and stuff like that, they don't really force you to buy the DLC to actually get the full package. Instead of having to buy the DLC like with other games to get everything, the majority of things in the updates that are very important to the game, like patches and special features and things like that, that's already free. Those things are there to help you keep the game going and help keep it fresh and enjoyable. Now, to gain access to extra smaller features, then with DLC you can buy and stuff like that and get more features. Now, I'm going to use Man the Guns as an example with this. Without the DLC, you still get the updated USA focus tree along with the UK focus tree, and I think a couple of smaller things. And I think you get some stuff with the Netherlands too. But most importantly, the biggest part of the entire new update by far had to be adding fuel. Now, with just the game itself, you get those features. I don't think the Netherlands focus tree, but you still get a lot of those features. But if you buy the DLC, you get extra access to extra parts of the focus tree that were previously locked. Like, for example, the USA communist side or the fascist side of the tree. That was something that you had to buy DLC for. Then for like the UK tree, it had some similar things, more things in the Netherlands tree. Also, something else which is insanely huge for the multiplayer communities, and I really enjoy this thing that Paradox does, is if the host has all the DLC, as long as that host has all the DLC, everybody playing that game gets all the features as if they didn't have the DLC in the first place. As long as the person that has all the DLC is the host, you get access to everything they have. Now, can you imagine if Call of Duty or Battlefield said, as long as a party host has a map pack or a loot box weapon, everybody in that party could have access to the content and the weapon for free instead of splitting up communities? That's why Paradox has this model. So that way it's not splitting the community and forcing people to buy these updates. It's instead giving them an ability to say, hey, if you would like to support the game and you want to buy this DLC or this update or this pack or whatever, that helps allow them to do the things like they're doing, allowing people that are not the host to have access to the DLCs, allowing them to have the freedom to attempt to make something they think the community will enjoy. So if they don't enjoy it, it doesn't completely bankrupt the company and make them completely abandon the game, and also doesn't force you to move to a new game if you already like the old one more, and doesn't split the community. So really, it comes down to two main reasons: not splitting the community, allowing you to stay on the game you like and want, and two, to financially support the company to keep the old games online and supported, along with keeping the company moving forward. So anyway, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this, and please do not forget to subscribe. Like I said, I'm probably going to be one of the only Hearts of Iron 4 content channels on here very soon. So hopefully, again, guys, you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next time. Stay awesome.